especially going up against a lineup in Ultra. You can come out the gates hot in this map. Number one, you can set the tone early if you can just take this one.
Yes, you can. Other update, if you're just kind of tuning in and locking into the Bravo stream, LAG 2-0 up on Cloud9 after a 6-2 search and destroy.
What the hell is going on?
No idea, dog, but they're going to a Hacienda control as we jump into our vault hardpoint. See how things unfold as we have Toronto currently in and sucking up some good time with a couple of kills to help boost that.
Oh, yeah, they're dominating the kill feed as well. Now soaking up a lot of this time. Like you said, here at the P1, still 25 seconds to play for. Gwyn just going to hold down his top cap position. Don't want to die in this position because you know you have the spawns for next, but now we have the numbers. We're just going to fly on in, clear out the mid-map to soak up this final 15, and now Ultra forced to find the break through the front side.
Indeed the case. Rock tunes of CDL music grace our eardrums as we rotate to P2. TJ up top, creating some space and some layering here for the Ravens to work with. And the spawns are still good as the second hard point will open up, although Insight does spawn in the back. Rex not expecting that is dealt with, and the hit from the front is good. Stuns and nades over the backside of P2. Oh boy, send your blessings up above if you're Slasher, as he's completely eliminated from the hard point, and Toronto get the immediate flip.
Yeah, big shout out to Insight, you know, for just dying at the right time and spawning towards the backside. Getting that first kill and then blocking those spawns on the side of Carolina. Now you're forced to try to find the break, which is so far away from this hard point. That extra layer, which is being created by Beans, has worked out at least for the first 30 seconds. But now spawns flip. Carolina trying to find a break at the back end.
But Joe pops up unexpectedly. Rex with one shut down, but dealt with by Kleenex and turns his attention to the front. That's good for a double, but not enough to stave off the scrap time play, at least not initially, as Beans just is kind of fighting from afar to see how many kills he can grab inside this old time. It will create, again, lots of vacancy across the middle of the map for Ultra to quickly rotate over to 3, but still only 11-point game, and the hard point at the third still empty.
Toronto have the spawns that they currently want for this P3 to P4 setup. Now they are jumping themselves into the objective. Dylan Rex plays his life beautifully. I don't know how Beans wasn't able to find that kill, but Dylan now makes the most of his life. He's able to find a double, and the game knew he was supposed to die because the car bomb randomly explodes, but it does not matter. Carolina were able to flip the spawns, and now they're in the driver's seat to have the P4 in their back pocket.
But a little bit of room to work with here for Ultra on the hard point itself. You also got Kleenex taking a super long route to try to get some cutoffs. Yeah, and he will find the opener. Really puts Carolina in a bit of disarray as they were already trying to work their way forward to contest the hard point, and now you're a bit stuck. And honestly, that's a good about 15-20 seconds that Ultra are going to sit there and say, all right, we lost spawns for new, but at least we made up for it here on the current hard point. And wouldn't you know it, this little push past the 50-yard line actually has Rex spawning out. So opportunity here for Ultra, but have to make the most of it.
Yeah, but I'd love to be that player who spawns out on this hard point before that new hill pops. We naturally are going to be set up on the pinch. The car bombs so far not treating Carolina well. That's 2 team kills so far, but it does not break their setup. They're so properly adjusted here on the P4, but the ARs are not hitting, at least on Carolina's side. Ultra through the front door, break immediately right on in.
Jay, that's too easy, brother.
Way too easy.
Just adjust myself here a little bit because I didn't expect that. I thought we were going to be sitting pretty casually for Carolina for a while, but they hit from overextension. They find the kills they need. Beans now clearing out a little bit at the front. If he gets that pistol win versus Gwyn, just shut it off right now. But Carolina recovered. 20 seconds of scrap time still to fight for, and that could lead to a lead swap if they hold.
Yeah, not the money hill that they were looking for. They were looking for basically a flawless 60, but at least you're able to walk away with the scrap time to have a slight lead going into our second half of the game. Toronto Ultra preparing for the exit kills. Initially lose the first one through B Street, but you're already set up in towards the hard point. Prepare for the first 2 line.
Gwyn shuts down though onto Kleenex. Slasher also opens up P1. Beans the last one really left alive to try to contest anything through the high ground. He has to wait for the regen, so gonna call for some assistance. Insight provides. Nice shots. Whoa, better shots from Slasher. Still though, Beans able to follow up, and now the pistol is able to connect. Lead swap for Ultra, and they still hold on to the right side of the map, looking towards P2.
And realistically, I am honed in on the scoreboard with Dylan Rex's hill time, because I remember when Nameless said it, he is one of the worst ARs when you talk about playing the objective. But you don't really have to play the objective when your teammates are slaying the way that they are. Now it's just about this rotation over towards P2, where technically you won it on the first set of hard points. final end with Insight getting the spawn that he did. They were instantly able to find the break, but the pressure's already on. 2 players from Carolina going to spawn all the way across the map. You're simply going to get outnumbered. You're going to get isolated. Now TJ last man standing. He's clear on out.
Yeah.
And Ultra window rotation to P2.
Yeah, Slasher tried to get some work done. Unfortunately, lines up a kill through a teammate, so that pretty much puts things out of question, at least initially, for the opening time here at the second hill. Slasher off his next life, able to get 1 through mid, but it's not enough to really stop Beans from doing this, dominating over towards Pool.
Oh.
And if he wins that one, what a cannonball that would have made. But Win does find another win. He's been good, to be fair, 16-8, but his team's down nearly 50 points and still looking a bit starved for points here in the second.
Yeah, it's just because they're consistently trying to break P2 from the front side. They can't work around the back. Everything is currently being watched, and the ARs on the side of Ultra have the crossfires galore being set up. Another clean 4 dead, basically a flawless 60 hold here at the Pool hard point. But now off the rotation, Carolina on the back foot. Joe Deceives wins a massive one-on-one versus Slasher. Now you have pressure over towards Arc Control. You're heavily in the driver's seat.
Yeah, this game will be decided for Toronto in the next 60 seconds if they can hold on to the left side of the map and find time here. Again, kind of foreshadowing a potential hold at P4. Carolina in a bit of trouble. Snap from Rex. Trying to keep his life. May also find damage onto another. And yeah, that's Insight, who will be finished off by a teammate. But Joe Deceives just kind of in and out of the play. Continues to find kills. And that will lead to kind of a weird spawn for Kleenex, and Ultra will take advantage of that.
Yeah, and Kleenex was stalling time for his teammates to get into the play. I was waiting for Dylan Rex to eventually react onto that, but thankfully Kleenex gets nothing done on that bench, but still Ultra in the power position to have the P4. Unless Gwyn is able to get something done through the OE, he wins a one-on-one. He's able to slip by, also finds the second kill, allows his teammate to spawn over towards Art. Now Kleenex just got to value his life.
Yeah, well, he's forced to take a gunfight versus Gwyn, able to win that. And now it's really just down to this. I won't say this is a last chance saloon for Carolina, but it's going to feel like it if they don't find any success in these last 2 players over the back end. Rex just walks out into no man's land and gets absolutely obliterated. So for Carolina, they're pushed out away from the back. Spawns will be locked for Ultra. And now it's just about, can you clean anything up from the front? But no, instead the tissue is an issue. 26-17, working for more. Assists are good to get us closer to a Hellstorm, but may not even be needed if they hold this last 35. This game's just over.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely going to be over if they get all this time. Carolina rallying together through the B Street, trying to find one successful break here. Because, you know, we give up this time, we're basically going to lose the map number 1. But you got to get past the ARs and now the pistols on the side of Ultra. So 20 seconds here. Kleenex is going to fly on in. But Gwyn finds a double to lead to at least a little bit of time here for Carolina.
Yeah, it's a bit of a lifeline. You can take one last gasp for air here for Carolina. But they're going to have to turn that breath into some significant change to what's currently occurring on this map, because it's been rotation win after rotation win from Ultra. They've also been quick to find snap breaks on key hard points, and they also find themselves, just to make matters worse, in for the early time here at P1. Have to find a substantial break here for Carolina. Stuns, nades, littering this back hallway. TJ for 1 around the back. Rex just showing a little bit of pressure. Prediction onto Joe is good. Now you've got numbers to work your way in, hopefully for some time.
We need to get ourselves back into this game. You need to find a trade and play on another map, and also the one onto Kleenex. Now you have the spawns that you want for P2, but every single time Carolina on the team ending out this P1 Ultra. Time their kills to perfection. 25 seconds still here at P1. Ultra find the break, and now Carolina on the back foot going to try to slow it down so they can have the rotation finally over towards P2.
Yeah, but it's still one of those things that this is sending the, canoe up creek without a paddle. Joe Deceives, 25-19, shut down after that 3 spree. He's still holding on to the scrap time, and every second is a good one right now for Toronto. But you head over to New. Like you said, in position for this, all 4 members. You have to start getting some wins from Rex. If he's going to be the one locking down these power lanes, he's got to start finding some wins, and he only gets 1 before being shut down. Win inside the hard point, follows up, but the spawns will move. And Ultra may have an opportunity to break this just with the proximity spawns they have.
Yeah, Ultra swanning in towards the back, but if you're Carolina, you low-key sort of want this situation. You just need this first wave of kills to go your way. They just don't win any of the gunfights besides Gwyn. And Ultra instantly find the break. Now they have them trapped towards the backside. One player in Gwyn is going to be in a position to spawn out, but Joe Deceives, never going to get caught lacking. 30-20, picks up the player on the pinch, and Ultra can't win it here, but they can get pretty damn close.
Indeed they can. Rex is going to be scouted out over towards the back truck. Kleenex.
Oh, man.
Is going to get some help from Gwyn off that Semtex. Thank you very much for more. And that will just about do it. Like you said, can't win here, but they will be well within striking distance. And it's just another one of those performances for Carolina. It's just like, we're just not getting the hill time that we need. And none of the ARs are getting into time, which really makes you believe that they're not getting the zoning forward that they want to from the SMGs. It's just everything's gone wrong here. And even with Insight going 16-23, it's just no one from Carolina is really holding a candle to the teamwork that Toronto have showed us.
Yeah, it's tough for maps if you're barely played with this lineup. You only have one rep on it in stage 4, and Ultra have played it so many damn times. They just played it versus Optic Texas, got the shit beat out of them, but this time they make the adjustments, basically win every single rotation. They also find a lot of success on the breaks when they needed to, and that was a very dominant map 1 victory there from Ultra.
Yeah, comfortable to be sure. And again, it's just like one of those things. I remember we talked about this Toronto team and their hardpoint struggles and how they were one of the worst rotating teams in the league. But when you looked at their statistics, like, in terms of break efficiency and hold efficiency, they were still like in the top 4, which just made you, again, recognize that when they do win rotations, they're good at it. But more importantly, this is a team that moves still very well together, even if they don't win rotation, because they're finding snap breaks. Like, in the first 10, 15 seconds, they're in the hard point contesting or flipping it back to their direction. So it's just been really odd, I think, to kind of put a finger on what this Toronto team was going to look like, especially like after Major 2, when we're like, who wants to be the 3rd best team in the league? And then Vancouver said, we will. And then all of a sudden, like, Toronto starts to step up. They start to get better at rotating with more presence. They start to hold a little bit more better, a little more better. They start to hold better. But I think the thing is, like, when you add in the mix of this Toronto team manipulating tempo and pace, and you're getting like this baton pass of like Kleenex is driving forward, and then never mind, Joe's going to dive forward behind that. Yeah. They look really, really good when they can find success doing that. Yeah,
it's just tough to handle because Ultra have every single player on this lineup capable of a takeover moment, and that's what we saw all throughout this map. Number 1, Kleenex here at the P4, Jodeci's every single time around P1, and Beans and Insight dominating on a long distance gunfights around P2 and P3. Toronto are clicking on all cylinders. This is what their gameplay looks like. They make the adjustments off of the series versus Optic Texas. Now you start off 1-0 in this series, and now you're going into another map where you play versus the Green Wall, and you're expecting the adjustments to be shown here as well.
Yeah, and I just want to kind of go back to the point that I'm talking about with when Ultra was, going into Major 3, the worst rotating team in the game through Major 2 qualifiers especially. It was so funny because they came into the event 12th in rotation percentage. You're playing with a last-minute substitute in Mercules, and they bumped up to 4th by the end of that event, and that's carried on now with Beans back, of course, as you would expect in the list. So there may have been some sort of a spark of like the team is working on trying to rotate better, but you also have like you have to play more macro because you're playing with a new guy who you just have to just fit into a system, so it puts pressure on the system more than the guy himself. And it just kind of felt like there was a light kind of sparked up for this Toronto team in their hard point. So good stuff there. About a 100-point win, pretty casual, all things told. And now we go to the dealership for the search and destroy. And for Toronto, again, like no strangers to this map. They played it a bunch in Major 3. Have not found a ton of success on it, though. A handful of round 11 and round 10 losses. But this is one that you need to see them really, again, light something up and keep their search and destroy strong.
Yeah, realistically, like, I think it's just one thing for Ultra on this map. It's just valuing their numbers situation. They're usually one of the best teams in that scenario where they put themselves in a 4v3. They're not going to let these rounds slip away. But versus Optic early on today, they had so many rounds where they had the man advantage, but then the SMGs on the side of the green wall just kept on breaking them down. So now knowing that, we understood, like, basically we should have forced a game number 5 in that series. We cannot make those same mistakes again. Kleenex, you need to be able to find a lot of success through the map alongside Jodeci's, because on the opposite side for Carolina, even though they only have a couple reps here on a map like Dealership, one thing that they do really like is the offensive side. They are great once they get that bomb down, so if you're Ultra, let's not allow that to be the case. Yeah.
Well, here we go. Straight on into it. Dealership, search, and destroy. Both these two teams looking to kind of build on an identity on the map. As we were talking about teams like LA and Miami and who's the team I'm thinking of? Atlanta. They kind of have 3 different ways of playing the map. And I think it's just kind of, hey, it does work for them. Like Miami plays with a lot of tempo. They want to get onto site fast. They want to get through the site fast. Atlanta likes to play their defense super slow and play for retake nades. LA kind of does aggression on both sides of the bomb. And it's worked for all three of them at different moments in time. It just comes down to what are we going to get for these two teams here, as we just love to give you guys the CDL music. I know how much that was like your favorite thing ever. So we're just going to keep it playing in your eardrums while we talk about this Surge.
I can't even hear it, Alan, so it's just you enjoying
It's just
the rock
me?
and roll party. Yeah.
I'm getting trolled, dog.
Already 30 seconds gone on the round. Neither team has shown any presence or given up any ounce of information on what either setup is looking like. But now Carolina are rallying everyone through the middle of the map, trying to take some of that pressure so they can open up at least one of these objectives.
Well, a little bit of contact through mid. Doesn't really amount to too much besides just extra time off the clock. Insight going to use this as a chance to get a little bit further forward than you expect. Slasher has seen it. Little high-low setup with Rex. And Insight just able to get around the corner. And the defense will now focus through vents and mid-garage door.
And this entire time, you had Gwyn working on this late pinch. Now it's time to hit the go button with that objective starting to get planted. So he is eventually going to find that first blood onto beams and get out of dodge, or just jump right back into the window and gift it to Kleenex and make it a 3v3.
Well, this post plant is on site here. Kleenex, does he have the shot lined up for it? Gets the first, steps away, but can't get away too far. Great stuff for Carolina. Just kind of getting a read, I think, just, hey, if you want to play with a little bit of aggression at mid, we'll go ahead and just kind of keep a player lurking, see if we can catch you off guard on rotation, which they do, and then we'll just kind of run at you with numbers.
Yeah, it's well played right there from Carolina to take the slow and steady approach, opening on the round. So just spread map, just rely on Gwyn to make sure no one's working on that deep pinch. Let's continue to use our attacks to try to gain some info of what their defensive setup is looking like. And then once the commitment over towards A allows them to back down the player who is watching over, you keep control of that site. You send Gwyn in for the pinch. He finds the first blood, and then everybody else is still holding strong on their post plant. Carolina, the first.
Well, it's going to be just kind of a feel out here for Toronto, waiting to see if they can catch Carolina getting over aggressive at middle. But no mistakes seem to be kind of on the horizon for the Ravens. Holding their positions. Gwyn. Oh, he may actually make a mistake here. No, instead, gets the chow, finds the first one. Does get traded. And that actually is enough for TJ to kind of step up a little bit at Arches, knowing, hey, if there's two members for Ultra playing through mid, I can maybe get a little bit more space through B.
The Slasher is going to get some really good timing or some really bad timing. At least lines up the gunfight versus Joe DeCeves and is able to put his team in a man-up advantage. The bomb is going to get planted, but you're attacking from every angle.
Just a little feel-out nade for Rex. Does not hit anything. And this is going to be Carolina showing the pressure from the front first and then back off. Let TJ run forward and find a freebie. Yep, absolutely perfect. Really good on the retake there for Carolina. That's how you draw that up.
So far, 2 different rounds where they have shown. All right, we'll show a little bit of aggression on one end and set up one of our SMGs to set up that late pinch. And it works out there. But it all starts with Slasher just reading the play. Understanding my teammates are aggressive through courtyard. They cannot be at B. Just need to get some good timing, rotating back over towards A, and is able to catch Joe before getting that objective down. Then in a man up, you allow the bomb plant to get planted. You watch the push through to your spawn. TJ watches the push through back to their spawn. And at that point, neither member gets the information, so they have to be trapped on site. And they just pounce on them to secure the round.
Yeah, so far it's just been Carolina understanding if Toronto are here, then they must not be there. And it's working out nicely for them. This round, though, Kleenex aggression over towards small room at A. He's able to find Slasher, who was on an island. So free first blood on that front. Gwyn looking to respond on the other and provide. So 3v3 early with a significant amount of pressure here for Carolina through the B site. And I love this. Hit the mid window. You know that Toronto have to try to clear that position out. So see if you can get the wrap on it. Gwyn, nice little snap. Good damage on the bolt. The pistol out. Is he going to get all 3? On the corner. Here comes the check. Off the regen. Good pre-fire, and the team shots are good for Carolina to go up 3-0 early.
Oh, Gwyn is having himself a series so far. Dominates in the map number 1, even though they fell short by almost 100. But makes a great individual play there. Even in the man down, you flank them, set up the double, and then stall out time for your teammate to assist you in the final gunfight. The Rookie of the Year last year, into his sophomore year, has continued his dominance on the map. And he secures the round there for Carolina.
Yeah, good stuff. Love the idea of how Carolina are saying, all right, you're going to isolate us on one side with 2 players. We're going to isolate you on the other with 3. It's just been good. A little push up here. That's Gwyn. Oh, boy. If they can catch a little bit of intel or some damage from Rex, I guarantee you, Win just pushes through this door and absolutely breaks down the round. Good pinch set up with TJ and leaves Kleenex for the 1v3.
Yeah, 1v3 bomb down over towards B courtyard. Kleenex has to make something out of nothing. Potentially to try to isolate onto one of these gunfights. If you are Slasher, yeah, let's just back down. Allow him to get that bomb planted, but your gun is put in single fire, and unfortunately for Kleenex, it costs him the gunfight. Now he's knocked down to 7 HP, and it's too many players from Carolina to account for. Quickly, up 4-0.
Dude, that had to be like a miss hit on the D-pad, right? Like, legitimately, that
100%.
had to have been set to single tap.
He's twisted, bro. He's twisted. Hitting so many buttons on the damn controller.
Oh, mercy. Again, it would have been unplausible to feel that that 1v3 was going to come through, but missing a chance at it for sure if that was the case. Regardless, it was a weird gunfight. So Carolina, okay. I love this. You know, you're not sitting there throwing out crazy set plays. You're just playing for contact, playing for info. And then once you get it, you're dispatching that information and converting with the numbers in some other spot that you find an advantage. So it's been good thus far. Toronto trying to change things up. You've got Joe Deceives trying to play with some stuns and some nades right down the staircase, and he catches 2 Ravens with nades out. So that'll work for a first round for Ultra.
Yeah, that's a massive first round there for Ultra to eventually stop the bleeding. It's been slow and steady approach every single round from Carolina. It's looked like they're playing S&D back in like 2013. Slasher's been a guy who's been around the S&D scene for God knows how long. So you best believe he's most likely the guy giving the in-game comms of how they want to play this search and destroy. The slow and steady approach has been working out, at least for now. But that time, Ultra changed the pacing up, catch them with a nade in hand for Joe to open up with the opening double. And then Kleenex instantly there to pounce for the final 2. So Ultra able to put 1 on the board, but need a couple more if they want to get themselves back in it.
Okay, that works. Joe Deceives. Deep nade hits onto Slasher. But Toronto, quick shot challenge this.
God.
And oh god, yep. Even with the car bomb coming through, Ultra are still able to get the bomb planted. And so now TJ trying to hunt down Kleenex. It's a race of the ages. And TJ will win that race. So now pressure on both sides. Rex trying to he's got to come into the he's got to get into play. Like, you have to show some force. You can't just let TJ play on this long flank. Although or can you? That's an absolute laser beam out of TJ. Insight for the trade, and now it's the 1v1. Rex trying to take the gunfight win, and oh, what a set of shots that is. Rex put to the dirt, and Toronto find 2 in a row.
Yeah, Dylan's got to play it out a lot quicker there, Alan. Like, once TJ is able to locate Kleenex, make it a 2v2, you know that the last 2 players have to be around site because TJ already puts himself in a great position on the pinch. They haven't pushed through the backside of dealership, so they have to be trapped on towards site. But when TJ wins that first one-on-one, you just have to be in a situation, or at least in the right position, to instantly play that trade and not allow the final player to get on out. But Dylan just gets caught slipping. And again, the aggression from Ultra leads to another successful round win.
That's unbelievable. Well, opening nades don't really provide too much from either squad. It's one of those things, though, where no information could be good information. You know no one's on that A corner. Means decent look. At least on a couple of members that are threatening this B site, but can't do too much to deter this, so Carolina looked like they're going to get a plan.
Oh, you're definitely going to get a plan put. They're instantly going to have to potentially back up because you have no min-map pressure. You can have Rex in a position to watch the deep pinch. So you have the man-up advantage if you are also just send it right to the courtyard.
The shots over the corner for Slasher, just to kind of hold off on the initial challenge, but Joe will still slide through regardless. And Beans just dives on in towards the tree. Rex for 2. Slasher provides. But it's on to, do they know where Beans is? No way. If Rex doesn't check this, just join whatever team is on the pit station 1. Okay, good. Finds the kill. Carolina secure the round.
Oh, that's a big shout out to Dylan Rex. Playing his timing on the pinch to perfection. He understands that no one is working their way all the way through the A site. If I could just put myself in a spot for them to bar their way through the front side of courtyard, I could be the difference maker in times that flank to find a double. Give them the man-up advantage, and then in the 2v1, just check the bomb at the right time. He's able to secure 3 on the round, and that leads to now Carolina at game point.
Yeah. This is you have to win this map.
Man!
Are we... What? Dog. Hello? Okay.
All right.
Make up for it. You make up for it there. Let it go. Oof.
Ah.
Yeah,
Wynn tries
overheat.
to commit too much on that gunfight right there. He thought that was the same player that he had one shot, but Kleenex watching over his teammate gives Ultra now the man-up advantage, but TJ in a crucial position to set up this pinch.
Problem about this is, what timing do you try to pull? You're the first one that comes past. That works. Whoa, bold to sit there for a second, but nearly pulls it off. Leaves Slasher now for the 1v2. This would really make up for the opening knife. With 30 seconds and Kleenex and Beans just throwing shoulders opposite of one another, you're just not going to let him get through without there being some sort of a double chow out. Yeah, you just got to go, brother.
Yeah, got to try to isolate onto one of these gunfights. Now he only has 8 left in the clip. Just going to forfeit on the round. And it's a big shout out to Slasher for basically gifting that one on a silver platter there for Ultra. It's like, Dylan Rex, you got 3? Nah, I don't like that, bro. You're not going to help us this next round.
Yep.
Ultra stay alive, fourth round, number 9.
Okay. Remember that round if this ends up going against Carolina.
That'd be so demoralizing if it
That would be absolute checkout. But I think just based on how this map has gone to this point, I still think you're feeling good if you're Carolina. Like, you've done well on both sides of the bomb, so.
And now they're going back on their attack. Slow and steady approach. The same thing they did in round number 1. The 3-for-1 split. Wynn just making sure no one is getting aggressive through that B street. But Jodeci takes a lot of space up through A. He gets caught.
I actually can't believe that there was no trade there onto TJ. These nades could still land, though. They don't quite touch. Slasher's going to watch the corner. Make sure that TJ stays safe. Insight will see Slasher still hanging around hedges. They got to double chow this? Nope. Well, maybe now they do. Yeah, nicely done. TJ's going to come away with 2.
And now in the 2v4, Beans and Kleenex left to try to clutch on up. Carolina know that they have the numbers. We just got to get this objective down.
Yep. Still, though, 2v4. Kleenex, if his timing is good, say maybe he can catch one while they're trying to plant the bomb, but instead his timing is miserable, and he finds himself trapped in the vent. Beans, well, you know, it's one of those, fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice. Well, that's why you don't get stuck in vent. Carolina walk away, though, with a, again, pretty comfortable search and destroy. It's just Slasher slashing his own teammates, and, no way he's sabotaging his teammates by breaking their controllers as well.
That's not good.
That's not
Slasher,
good.
He turned around, and he knew that he just accidentally pulled his controller wire, and that thing hit the main stage. That's the biggest thing for a pro player. We cannot have any controller issues, so we're just going to make sure that that's all safe before we leave it for the bathroom break. But Carolina able to tie up the series 1-1 with some great strategies in the search and destroy, Allen. Like Ultra earlier on versus Optic, they took that slow and steady approach. They found themselves finding a lot of successful kills in that first blood column. But even with 4 tallied to their name, Carolina with the slow and steady approach catches them off guard in multiple rounds, setting up late pitches out of their SMG players. And it was just too much for Ultra to try to climb back into the map. They now go down on dealership again. That now puts them at 1-7. And if you're Ultra, I'm probably never playing that map for the rest of the season.
Yeah, it's not been good. I'll tell you that much. It's not been good. Yeah, a couple of round 11, round 10 losses, but there's also been some really embarrassing ones. So. Not good news for Ultra on the map as much as they try to improve it. It just doesn't really feel comfortable for them. And I think, again, like the thing that really makes me say that here is, like, after watching a lot of teams play in a different way, they play with like a certain type of way, whether it's playing with aggression or playing for, you know, nade retakes, whatever it happens to be. This just kind of feels like Ultra and Carolina are just like, let's just kind of, we don't really have like a set default setup for defense or offense. It's just kind of like, we're just going to play for info. Like, it feels like one of those, like, we're in spawn, like, hey, do you want to, like, throw nades at me at mid? Yeah, sure, I guess. Like, that's kind of what the playbook kind of feels like right now. It doesn't really feel like there's much of a design to try to open up with first blood in any particular space outside of just hopefully finding, like, a 3-man flood or a couple of nades, and that often is a product of just blind counters, which did not happen because Carolina were also playing back for info most of the often, but
yeah, that's good stuff there from Carolina. Just be prepared for everything that they're going to throw at them. For a squad that people are counting out with the way that they have been looking recently, at least you make this somewhat of a series now. Tied up at 1, going into a protocol control where it's a 50-50 chance basically on both ends. It's just the way that Ultra played versus Optic. they're a lot more prepared for this map. Joe Deceives and Kleenex, they can tend to get lost, and if you can't account for them or you allow them to be nuisances behind enemy lines, you're not going to have a good time.
No, you will not. Easy to say that. Speaking of not having a good time, LAG 3-0'd Cloud9 New York. Study's crashing out. We're going to go to break. We'll be back with map 3 after this. Welcome back there. We are 1-1, tied through the first two. That's what 1-1 means. We've played two maps. We've got map 3, Control, coming up next. And honestly, it's just one of those situations that you kind of look at the track record of both these two squads. Toronto is coming in as, like, just by record, the third best Control team in the league. Carolina, at one point in time, way back in like Major 1, Major 2, was one of the best teams in Control. But since that point, these guys have stunk it up, dog. Yeah. I'm talking 2 wins in the last 12 attempts, and that goes back to when Major 3 quals head start. That's not good. You know, believe it or not, 2-10 in the mode, not good.
No, definitely not good. And now you're going up against the Toronto Ultra squad, who already have success so far throughout this weekend on a map like Protocol. This was their shining light in that series versus Optic Texas. The SMGs just continuously got lost, and Beans was frying with the AR. But Carolina are no slouches on Protocol. I know in their last 5 attempts, they only won it once, and it was versus Minnesota, who are not really the best Control team that we have in the game. They don't really struggle when you talk about the slaying on either side. It just comes down to like certain situations on the map that they realistically cannot lose track of, and that's all about the SMGs. You lose focus on where Joe Deceives is or where Kleenex is they are going to make you pay for it because they're usually running an SMG, but if you give them an AR, they're also going to hold you down in those long-distance gunfights as well. So Carolina, bring the slaying like you usually do, but the game plan needs to be a lot more team-oriented for some segments.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just have to work together. I feel like when we often watch Carolina on this map, they just get a little too split, a little bit too isolated, and teams just go from one kill to a second to a third. Usually they can snowball form. So just need to see a little bit more communication, a little bit more patience for things to develop. And that's not a bad start whatsoever. Rex was trying to hold down the lane over towards A. Does get shut down, but it creates opportunity for Carolina to get onto the B point for what very well may be an early first take.
Yeah, Gwyn was the only player to make this individual play on this side of the map, finding 3 kills successfully initially off of his respawn and securing at least 1 segment there at B, drawing the attention from the Ultra players to split on their defensive approach. And now you put all the focus on the A point. First segment already going to be locked. Toronto trying to respond with all the mid-map pressure. Joe almost lines up 3, but leaves the last man standing in Slasher top trips window. That segment does not get complete, and now everybody off the respawn.
Yeah, Deez is going to make sure that that gets depleted a touch as well. Kleenex working with Insight to clear out mid-guns. Allows Joe to stay pretty comfortable on the A zone as the sole defender, but now Kleenex, after that stun lands, is looking to see if they can isolate a little bit further. Rex in trouble, but Slasher there to help. And honestly, I mean, even though there hasn't been a lot of ticks of progress that have come through, Carolina are doing a nice job finding winning kill feeds. They just can't turn it into objective pressure yet.
Yeah, they just need segments, man, because there's only 29 seconds left on the round. You're showing presence on both points. You're forced to back down off of your power spots at this B segment. But now you continuously are trying to find trades around that mid-map area. Oof. The only thing is Kleenex and Joe combined for 3. Last man standing is Dylan Rex on the A point. Gonna be knocked down to 1 shot, but finds the kill and the segment. And his teammates off the respawn also find every single kill. So this is a massive moment for Carolina.
Yeah, TJ scaled the ladder and now made his play not only to B, but around it. Problem is he touched the zone, and Insight will try to keep him at bay while the rest of Ultra try to play forward to clear off this contest at A, but they will not get there. So extra 60 seconds comes up, and now that life lead that we were talking about becomes a major factor for this opening offensive round because Carolina are up 5.
Up 5. All the map control in their favor as well, with Dylan Rex showing a lot of presence through the top mid area. Now you're just banking on your teammates to find openings through the spawn. TJ and Slash are already combined for 2. Now you're all around this tower side. Only 6 lives remaining for Ultra. You need to stabilize. You need to get a clean 4 dead in the feed.
Well, not happening as of yet. TJ's on with a little bit of help from Gwyn. A little bit of clearance coming out of Kleenex. He's traded. Diving on into the side is Insight, but can't do much there. So second tick done, 10v2. Should be a round win here for Carolina. It just comes down to which method do they win it by, and it will be by elimination. So 5 ticks of progress as Carolina start us off with an opening dub.
Yeah, that's so well played right there from Carolina, because I thought that they were going to be trapped into their spawn when Toronto were able to clear out every single player over here at B. But Dylan Rex is playing his life at A, keeping the game clock paused, and then his teammates off the respawn, finding every single kill. They don't really pay attention to the main map there, but if you're Ultra, that cannot happen. You need to basically creddy up in the corner when you stabilize on the map, force them to run into you. But when you gift them those kills, Carolina with the life lead take full advantage of it, extend the time with the A point, and then have the lives remaining to close out the round by kills. They secure 5 segments on the opening round, and now Ultra have a lot to make up for.
Yes, they do. Heck of a start for Slasher and Gwyn in this map. And it looks like this is going to be a development of a B hit here for Ultra. Really nice patience there for Joe Deceives. Knows he's got help at field side. So do your damage, come back to it, set up Kleenex for a couple. And it's just down to Rex, last one left. They haven't seen him yet, but now know where he's at as the kill to Beans comes through. Kleenex will find some really crispy shots at range with the SMG and then find someone a little bit closer to home. Maybe one more at the window, but no, TJ has the shutdown, but Ultra a bit of a stack here over at A.
First segment going to be locked in. TJ's going to commit on the gunfight, knowing that his teammates are near on by. Can I get them a little bit weak to set up Slasher for the double? And he does just that. Now that leads to a clean 4 dead when Gwyn works down that pinch. So now 55 seconds left to go. All tied up in lives remaining, but Ultra going to waste a lot of time working out of their spawn.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Good patience here from Carolina. Wow, that stun doesn't hit onto Gwyn. Looked like it was going to land in his left pocket, but doesn't affect him. And the kills will still continue to keep Carolina forward on this defensive setup. Down to 33 seconds. Ultra are clearing out the A zone. Still, you have the SMGs running a little bit rampant around the backside of this play, and then Rex clearing off the high ground, so it's really on to Insight. Has to get a kill, you would think, at least, but Gwyn finds him, shuts down the opportunity for that, and Rex going 1 for 1. That might be the round-winning play there.
Oh, yeah, there's only 10 seconds left, and you are not finding any kills to leave your spawn. You only have 1 segment to your name if you're Ultra. The final push is going to be over towards the B point, but with only 5 seconds left, I really think they're going to have an opportunity to touch the objective. And Carolina,
wow,
where has this roster been for the last couple events, man? Because they are firing on all cylinders right now.
Yeah, they really are. I mean, we could avoid talking about the hard point, but yeah, the search looked solid. This control looks very complete. I think the thing, again, just reflecting on how they've played on the qualifier online to what we're getting now, it's just like, hey, we're actually helping each other. Like, whoa, go figure. And that's just like, again, we talk about, like, and this will be reflected on as we get through this major and into champs and even after that. Like, you made this move from Vivid Directs as a way to improve the team's stock. It was a team that sounded in the comms like they were clicking pretty decently. They just needed a little bit of help in the slaying department. But since adding Rex, it just kind of feels like everything has fallen apart. And who knows, this could be where the switch is flipped and things can start to come back to what we had once known.
Hey, this is the perfect time for that switch to flip. Going into our last couple of games of the season. Gwyn is still putting himself in Final Four on 8 in a row. Going to go for the Eagles out for number 9. Still has yet to earn himself the Hellstorm, but let's just get a little bit of objective presence. Or at least find one more kill, and that Hellstorm is going to be yours, but Joe gets the better of him, shuts down that Hellstorm from being earned, but still, his teammates find every kill around the map. They're on A.
Yeah, and that's the 2024 Rookie of the Year right there. Gwyn is popping off. Little double stack on towards A. Momentary triple stack gets us the first tick and a second one that's near completion. EJ can't finish off the kill onto Kleenex. Gwyn shut down before he can find the kill onto Joe. And that exchange leads to Ultra regaining some defensive presence through the map and stopping the A progress just at 2 ticks.
And now with 45 seconds to go, Carolina not really sweating. No need to be nervous in this situation. We still have a lot of time to work with this 1 segment here at A. And it all starts by clearing out their spawn slasher. You're not expecting them to work that pinch, especially with an SMG in hand. But now that puts a lot more focus for the rest of the players on the side of Ultra as they were trapped. The third segment is about to be locked on in, and Ultra now down by 4 lives have to hold down B.
Yeah, and this is just good patience for Carolina. Again, like we kind of talked about it in the first round, where it's like you're winning out on the kill feed exchange in these gunfights. You know, 3 for 2, so it's like you left with like a 2v1 situation. And like they're not doing a lot of progress on the objective, but their ability to put pressure on Ultra and the life count has allowed opportunities to eventually come through. Like very patient has this Carolina offense been, but patience may not be rewarded here as Ultra have found a way to get up to the front doors of the Carolina spawn, and now that kill tally is starting to look, well, a little nasty.
Yeah, now they're getting beat up. This is what Ultra are looking for, something to stand on this map number 3. And finally, they put them in somewhat of a spawn trap. SMG starting to fire. Kleenex on 5 in a row. Currently up by 6 lives. You cannot lose a one-on-one gunfight to save your life. 40 seconds left. You're still up by 7.
Yeah, Kleenex is just running around, going from left to right, up to down. He's just finding these 1v1s, going with their gun up. Eventually put down, but 13v5, less than 30 seconds to play. And the only effort that the Ravens can make is by playing through the previously captured A zone to try to make their way through the middle of the map to B. And Kleenex is in their way. Not anymore. He's not. Slasher finds the kill, and that should be floodgates open. Especially knowing that Beans is playing this corner. Like, we just got to get on to B here. And Carolina are, well, just kind of taking their time, maybe trying to reduce this life deficit a touch. But that will, well, maybe not happen. But if, yeah, Rex can find one. You could stack this for another tick. It's not even done yet. Rex is going to find more up top. Oh, my goodness. 7v2. Don't get me wrong, it would still be a miracle. But it might still happen as Gwyn tries to slide out for kill number 5. Slash for the last one left for the 1v5. And he will not be able to do too much. But another tick over towards B gets tallied up.
Oh, yeah. And now Ultra have to do it on back-to-back offensive wins if they want to try to take this map. You're going to be down by 8 seconds. Mathematically impossible for you to make up in that column. And at least your SMGs and even your ARs at some time started to show some life here in this round. Keep them trapped in their spawn for a very long time. You dominate in the kill feed. And now hopefully they're able to build off that momentum, taking it into this attack.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be a very, very nasty couple of rounds here for Toronto. Again, it's just, what's happened to their control here? This was our, again, third best team in control. It looked pretty solid to start this qualifier and then got ran by Vancouver. They were able to obviously take it versus Optic. You talked about the SMGs really lighting things up on this map in particular, but hasn't really been a factor yet, as Kleenex will get up towards mid, and Toronto will look pretty clean for at least the first tick of progress.
Yeah, that was a beautiful break off to just have the slow and steady approach, allow Carolina to run into us. You go 3 for none in the kill column, and now that has at least guaranteed you 2 segments at this 8 point. We just haven't accounted for Gwyn, who consistently always works that spiral staircase to work that pinch. All he needed was 1 kill, even though that second segment does get locked. All of Ultra off the respawn.
Yeah, you've got both ARs kind of watching the extremities here. Slasher, a little bit of damage, but pushed back by a stun. Doesn't make a difference. Rex is there to pick him up where he left off, and TJ fills the gap just a little bit closer towards the sidewalk. So 25 plus 23, major advantage here for Carolina. And if you're the Ravens, you just use the clock as your ally here. You don't need to get anything too crazy going, especially after losing a couple of members on the spawn trap.
100%. Just keep on finessing with your life. There's only 30 seconds left on the round, and Ultra need at least this final segment at A to extend the time. Just don't get them any freebies on the front in the gunfights. And Gwyn almost caught the better of Beans, but the snap good enough to win that one-on-one. Now Rex has to give him his positioning over towards Heli, but that time is going to be extended, and he's also accounted for. So this is a beautiful opportunity for Ultra to hit the transition, but Slasher finds a double and slows him down.
Yeah, it's a big slowdown there by Slasher, but the problem is Insight comes off spawn and wins a key gunfight at the middle of the map. So Deceives can stay on the zone. Kleenex can keep floating with him, and the stack is now on for a first tick of progress. Second on the way quickly. Pinch starting to develop, though. Forces Insight out into the open. Gwyn takes advantage of that, but the second tick is still being worked on, at least until Slasher mantles through the backside of the ladder, leaving Beans essentially just fight for whatever ground he can find on the backside of tower.
Yeah, Beans, just stay alive as long as you can. Just banking on your teammates to at least find kills off of the respawn, or at least hop that objective and force Carolina to be split on their approach. Still a minute left to work with. Time again falls, and Beans is still slaying. Finds another kill from a different angle.
Wow.
Second segment is already locked, and Ultra find 3 dead at the right time. Just need 1 more kill, and we're going to around 5.
Looks that way. Slasher on the backside of the barrel. Shut down by Kleenex. Follow-up challenge from TJ is decent, but Beans can step right back up, and Beans finishes off the round 4 offense. And we're going to go to 5 like you assumed, with Ultra still on the offense, but that's one that's going to sit in your mind a little bit if you're Carolina, saying, whoa, we just got our world rocked.
Yeah, like the break-off was phenomenal on the side of Ultra to find 3 kills uncontested to guarantee themselves 2 segments at that 8 point early on. But then Beans with such a beautiful, valuable life there. And that closing round there, just finessing around tower. When his teammates go 3 dead, he wins a one-on-one. Repositions, finds a second kill, and then ends that round on 5 in a row. So Mr. Benjamin giving life to the Ultra boys, so at least forces round 5.
Yeah, they really needed that too, because Ben in the first 3 rounds was, I won't say a non-factor, but he wasn't the same Benjamin Beans that we've come to know and for some of us love. What a break-off this has been, though, for Ultra.
God.
Different look in terms of how they wanted to come out of spawn. Different, another ARs in the mix. Joe's able to pull out a 3rd AR, and they keep Carolina at arm's reach. Now you got the double stack in. You can just fight from the windows, but Slasher able to keep his life, leaving Joe by himself, and he can only do so much from the backside of the stairs. Only 1 tick given, and Carolina will deplete the second, trying to get their defense forward.
Yeah, and I love how Carolina whip out an extra AR for these engagements, because last time it was Ultra taking the slow and steady approach, so this time TJ whips out the extra aim miss, finds an opening double. Now all map control in favor of Carolina. They are lighting it up in the kill feed. Toronto consistently having to waste time working out of their spawn. They do have 1 segment already done at the 8 point, but they were looking for an opening, and they find it.
Also, they get a look at Rex playing up top near ledge. They can avoid that by dropping through Spiral, which is exactly what Ultra are trying to do. And Rex, he may get a little bit caught out here. Has to kind of dive to safety in front of the A zone, while Toronto are making their way underground and back up the top Grandma. honestly, if you win a gunfight here up the middle of the map, you're going to have a wide open B point. Even better, you take down TJ over towards helicopter, and you can get some progress done on both zones. Inside on 4 in a row, steps into castle, and now you got a huge stack on A. Second tick is all but gone, and honestly, you just have to chalk and rotate this if you're Carolina.
Yeah, Carolina just got to work the OE. You're already down by 2 lives. Don't want to allow that to be even bigger. We can test it one more time, but now Ultra extended time. Have a minute and 20 seconds to work with. Currently still up by 1 life. And if you're inside on 4 in a row, just continue to finesse around Grandma's, catches the timing onto Dylan Rex, make it 5, and I love this play from Insight. Let's just back on out, continuously force them to look for me, and let's stack this damn point.
Exactly the case. But Joe, the first one towards B will drop. That's a kill from Gwyn at Top Gun. Rex, the only one on the low ground for the Carolina defense. Everyone else is going to be playing around the back. And wait, Joe off spawn has kept this play safe. Beans able to follow up with another. The chow outside towards back tower has Gwyn in trouble, but Gwyn and Rex able to win their gunfights. Second tick not looking all that likely. And Insight says, yep, I agree. Let me get out of here. Keep my life. We have a 15v14. Advantage Toronto.
Yeah, now it's on Insight, who's still lost in the sauce. You have not been able to locate where he is if you're Carolina, but you know, at least 3 players from Ultra coming off of the respawn. Let's just not allow Insight to do the same exact thing that Beans did in the previous round and make the big-time play. And this time, Dylan Rex shuts that down. He's on 4 in a row, all tied up in lives.
And he can start depleting the second tick of progress, which has been sitting in front of him for what feels like an eternity, I'm sure. He's going to get caught. Gwyn still has the trophy to keep him safe. Has to have the timing to deal with this hit, though, from Toronto, and he finds the first. TJ able to assist over the middle of the map. And that damage from Gwyn may just be enough to put this round out of reach. Ultra coming off the respawn. They're in trouble here. 14 seconds. You got to make the mad dash across the map.
Yeah, this is the last push. Can you get something done on this OE? You're going to have Insight cut his way right through the middle of the map. Finds an opening kill onto Dylan Rex. And all of Carolina are playing towards low boat side. This is good for Ultra.
Why are we not playing middle of the map at all if you're Carolina? Why are we just waiting for them to get under the zone? There's no way. What a colossal breakdown. Rex may have just saved it, though. Insight, last one left. Wins the opening pistol. 4v5, but 3 seconds remaining. You're not going to get there in time, but oh my goodness. What a near colossal breakdown that would have been for Carolina as Toronto were fully stacked, and it wasn't until a double for Rex comes through that it barely saves that 3rd tick.
Woo. So many saving graces in this final round for Carolina. Dylan Rex had so many massive kills over towards tower, and Gwyn on the opposite side being a nuisance with the SMG, always getting behind enemy lines. Every time it got a little bit scary. Both of those players are able to come out with a multi-kill to stabilize on the moment, or just basically shut down that push there from Ultra. It got so scary towards the very end, because like you said, we want to dominate mid-map. We don't want to be in a position on the bottom side of boat, because if they have mid-map and they're already on the point, and they know they already found a bunch of kills around that mid-map area, then it's going to be a very difficult approach for Carolina to retake their way back on in. But thankfully, the young gun in Dylan Rex goes on 4 or 5 in a row, shuts down that push, and Gwyn consistently, like I said, just being annoying with the SMG, allows them to close out this control and not throw this one away. You go up 2-1 in the series versus Ultra, and now Ultra are feeling the pressure.
Yeah, big time. I mean, what would this do to this tournament? If Ultra bow out with Vancouver top 12, that's 2 of our top, we'll just be a little bit more general and say 2 of our top 5 teams gone. We still have Vegas and LAG alive. And, I mean, it's just, what? This has been a bizarre series of events to this point. Now, this series is far from over, to be sure, but the fact of the matter remains, like, you come off of a confident search and destroy for Carolina. You save a breakdown moment here on the control. You find yourself up 2-1, and honestly speaking, you look at the rest of the series, you don't hate it if you're Carolina, like, especially with how we just saw them play the search. Like, map 5 doesn't look nearly as bad as it may have thought, and if you just step up and continue to slay like this, if you're Gwyn and Rex, the respawn, any hard point feels winnable, I'll put it that way.
Oh yeah, definitely any hard point feels winnable, and this next one might be the most winnable that you have versus Ultra, because they're going into a rewind where neither squad has yet to get a rep on it. So we're walking into this map completely blind, but the little things that we can take from what we saw in map number 1 was Ultra dominating on the fundamental aspect. If they do that again on a map like Rewind, we're talking about being the team initially on the backside of P2. It's basically a full 60, but also dominating that mid-street presence for P3, P4. If they do that, they without question will be able to force this map number 5. But it's the way that Carolina are shooting. Gwyn is on point. Dylan Rex came alive in that control, and Slasher's always been a consistent factor for this lineup. You just can't afford to lose this series if you're Ultra, because then that now puts it to the conversation to like, did we make the right decision on letting Merc go? That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. I think that conversation is already swarming like buzzards in the desert, smelling out a kill. The Green Wall fans, who are relentless in the first place, are already like idiots. But we'll see we'll see how things kind of unfold. Because again, the Rewind hardpoint, like you mentioned, neither team has showed themselves. And I think the thing about it for both these two teams, looking at them on paper, pulling 3 ARs would be no stranger to either of these two squads. I think they have the roster that's very capable of doing that at a high level. The protocol search and destroy, though, is an interesting one just because at one moment in time, Carolina looked nasty at it. And they still kind of do, but they just haven't played it in a while. Whereas for Toronto, it's been fun. They were, again, like they played it a lot in the first qualifier and a little bit in Major 2, but not much since then. So there's a level of, like, again, that being a little bit unfamiliar in terms of recent competitive history for both these two teams.
Yeah, I'm excited if we get to that map number 5 because, like you said, both teams used to really love Protocol Search and Destroy, at least in the beginning of the season. Ultra was so good at it that teams just had to auto-veto it, and that forces now Ultra to try to figure out a different Search and Destroy map, and then when they try to put Protocol back into the mix, they weren't really having the same exact strategies that led to a lot of success like they did in the beginning of the season. But we got to get through this map number 4 first. Carolina, up 2-1 in the series. Looking to turn around this story for this lineup ever since Dylan Rex has entered the building. And going into a map where neither squad has yet to get a rep on it in the season, you best believe they're still practicing on the back end, so let me see some.
I want to know what the lore behind that giant stuffed elephant is. Is he, like, part of a movie? And if so, what movie is it? Has anyone looked at the DVDs on the shelves? Because if so, I need to know what movie that is.
Dumbo.
That's not Dumbo, dog. Dumbo had big old ears. He, like, flew and stuff with them. What? Hello?
It was an elephant. An elephant. Who knows? The guy's just sitting there. He's a stuffed animal. He might be able to fly.
Dumbo was a blue dog.
Yeah, you're right. My bad, bro. My bad. You're older than me, so you know. Yeah.
You're the one with the 2-year-old. What are we talking about? Ultra up big to start off P1. Joe Deceives 3-0 start as Ultra off to the races and have Carolina just kind of looking for ground to work with right now.
Oh, yeah, this is tough because Carolina's on the preferred side that they want for this P1 initially to start, but instantly off of the kill feed, Ultra able to flip them and soak up a lot of time here. And they're currently dominating the kill feed as well, so now it's a battle for the spawns. You give them all this time here if you're Carolina at the P1. You're looking for a response here, and the opening kill was massive there from Dylan Rex to really secure the spawns for now. Yeah,
this is big, and I love this trophy system placement as well, knowing that this hit is likely going to be developing through street side. Flasher gives a little bit of a workout to Kleenex. Both players able to get off the regen. Ooh, almost with the little snapper, but Rex is able to pick up on the damage had been dealt. Do they know that Insight is here, though? Are they counting their numbers? How good are the comms for Carolina? Well, they know he's there now. Doesn't matter because the kills from the front will have this Carolina set up a little bit pinched.
Yeah, it's scattered right now, all over the map. They're just trying to win a one-on-one gunfight, and Ultra making this mixy. If you were Carolina, you were banking basically a full 60 hold here, but they are making you work hella hard for this time. Finally, they're able to stabilize. Dominating the kill feed. The final 20 seconds should go their way, but now a tall task ahead of you. We need to flip these spawns for P3, P4.
Sure do. But again, kind of picking up on the early deficit, that's exactly what you want if you're a Carolina fan. So back to square. Long route has to develop. Joe Deceives able to shut down at least one part of that as TJ drops. And, ooh, good gunfight win from Kleenex, able to take down Slasher and then turn his attention for another on to Gwyn. So things are good here for Toronto. Over towards P3. Split setup here, though, with these spawns for Carolina. Could lead to a natural pitch if they can find the kills, but Kleenex will not allow that. And now all guns can move forward.
Yeah, and I love the focus right there from Ultra to secure the spawn before anything else. They knew that potentially with the aggression that they had over towards Burger, there was going to be a split spawn opportunity there for Carolina, but they read it to perfection, especially in the hands of Kleenex, who's now on 5 in a row. He knows that they're going to be in towards Burger. Consistently finessing around the objective, allows them to get kill number 6. And with only 20 seconds left, you now have to cut your losses and think about that roto. The only player in a position to potentially contest it is going to be Slasher working his way through board.
Oh, and Clean X on 7 off the reset. No. So it's on to what Joe can find on the old time. And, well, I was going to say Carolina have numbers moving over towards Beepers. They just have to deal with Beans, and they provide that kill pretty darn quickly. About a 15-point game, give or take. 18 if you're being technical. But Carolina will be able to step on into Beepers to start working on that.
No.
But this may have been a little bit too late to jump into the setup because the car bomb onto Gwyn opens the front door, and Toronto says, knock, knock, who's home? Never mind, no one's there. It's ours now.
What is going on with car bombs and hardpoint for Carolina? They had 2 car bombs blow them up in map number 1 and already a crucial one here in the map number 4 to lose them the spawns. And now Ultra technically won the rotation and instantly got broken into, but find their first attempt and make the most of it. They continuously run up the score, put themselves up by 50, and now if you're the Ravens, we just cannot continuously try to hit. We got to set up for new.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. Wow, not a good one there. It's another one of those moments that kind of reflects back to the vault hard point too, where it's like Carolina has the perfect setup, and then Toronto just walk on in. It just cannot happen. So 50-point or so gap as we head back over to Jens. Good kills on the exit though for Carolina. Has them looking frisky towards the opening time, but Kleenex comes up a bit surprisingly, I would say, for Carolina, but they don't deal with it with too much difference, and that's enough for Carolina to get themselves in position to get some good early time.
Yeah, and so far this setup has been picture perfect for Carolina. You're making sure that you're accounting for the players who potentially spawn out, blocking those spawns to consistently now spawn them over towards HG Will.
Oof.
And Ultra have yet to find an avenue to approach this hard point. Finally, they find an opening. They have the advantage knowing that players are going to be weak, but still Gwyn and TJ with the guns in hand are able to find multi-kill after multi-kill and still hold.
Yeah, that's a nice little tactical retreat right there for Carolina. You lose your first member on the hard point and everyone else gets tagged, so you back out of the hill, and then you surround it when everyone's at full health, and that's the byproduct of good patience. It is a virtue after all, friends. How about the streaks that Carolina are going to carry through that as well? Not only are you going to take this back to about a 20-point game, a little less than that, but you've got Slasher and TJ on 5 and 4 sprees, respectively, looking for early streaks.
Yeah, and the only difference so far in this game is the fact that Carolina lost the P4 the way that they did. They would have themselves a 50 to 60-point lead if they got all that time, but Ultra still making the game scrappy. Now we hit the reset. Back over to the P1. Ultra currently soaking up the time. They also have the spawns that they want through elevated side of the kill feed is lit up in purple. They shut down that first push and continuously are now running up the score.
Yeah, really good response for Toronto after that Jen's hard point. Just could not really do too much for them. So what was a 10-point game, now back to 30. Carolina working on another pinch setup, very similar to the route that they had hit in the opening break-off of this map. Problem was, it didn't really provide much for them over the top of P1. And even worse than that, they're actually getting tested as we start to make the fight happen over towards Laundry. So, difficult moment here for Carolina, especially with Joe spawning behind this play.
Not allow Ultra to get this time. As much time as they did off of P1 and have the rotation over towards P2. And thankfully, Carolina with the aggression find every single kill to secure those back spawns. They were able to get at least 45 seconds last go around when they were at the P2, and they might be in a position to do it again.
Yeah, have to win this first flood, though, if you're Carolina. TJ, a little slide out. Maybe got a little bit baited by that little touch. Is Carolina going to still spawn backside dumpster? No, they will not.
Big 2.
They've got TJ spawning out, but Gwyn, like you mentioned, gets a huge double. Toronto trying to show some force from the front, but largely speaking, Carolina should be feeling very confident in this setup, especially with TJ rapid on the pinch.
Yeah, TJ's already won it. He knows that everybody else is accounting for it. All the pressure's going to come through the front side, but once TJ finds one kill, you're just banking on your teammates now to be set up properly. But Ultra, they just are making this a contest fest. This is not what you were looking for now if you're Carolina, because there's only 15 seconds left. You're still trapped in towards the back, and Ultra can have a free roam off the rotation to do.
Yeah, that's moment number 2 here in this map that Carolina, you just cannot allow that to happen. A little bit of a battle through the scrap time, and at least you get an exit from that potential spawn trap. But over to Noob. Joe Deceives in position. Toronto working their way over towards mid-courtyard. They don't really find the first blood, so now Joe's in a heap of trouble. Bean's able to give him some sanctuary with the kill through mid. Insight trying to follow up, but Carolina have neutralized the time and gotten in their own right.
They have Slasher again testing through mid-courtyard to try to find the timing on this pinch to flip them all the way across the map. No No need to sweat, though. Your team is just going to show up uncontested time. Eventually, he's going to be able to strike. He finds the first kill. Insight still going to be blessed with the back spawn. And Kleenex on the opposite side is still making it havoc over here at the P3. Teammates still have the spawns that they want in an Ultra. No need to be worried now.
Ooh, little pistol whip from Joe Deceives. And another walk into the hard point for Toronto. 24-16 for Joe with a minute 17 counting in hill time. He is getting it done. And the lead goes back to 40 points. Kind of a do or die moment here for Carolina. You have to get over to beepers. You have to break this setup. But a 2-for-2 exchange with the kills happening to where Toronto can still spawn up favorably is not good news for Carolina.
Yeah, 4v2. Everybody else is going to now swan in the back if you are Ultra. If you get a full 60 hold here, you're basically forcing the game number 5 guaranteed. So Carolina need to rally together. Need to find some pressure through the middle of the map. It's a 60-point difference. Slash and TJ, though. Find 2. Now you have the numbers.
There we go. Full 4-man down. So you're going to flip the hard point and the spawn simultaneously with 30 seconds still remaining at beepers. Rex, the first one to try to watch this outside angle. Already pushed off of it. Giving the responsibility over to TJ, and both will find good kills. So there we go. An opportunity for Carolina to try to put this series maybe away if they can find a way to get over to Gens and have similar success like they did last time that we were there.
Yep. Whip out an extra SMG. You saw Dylan Rex do that in that scenario, knowing that the engagements were going to be right in front of you, but to always be into the play. A 30 difference. A massive break opportunity. Slasher on 6 in a row. The Hellstorm really isn't going to be felt if he's able to earn it, and it does not matter. Toronto still holding.
You might argue it's actually better that he drops so he can pick up an extra sub because everyone's got an AR right now after Carolina. But that might be okay if you're Rex. Crack movement doesn't really work out. Slasher did swap over, but gets absolutely demolished by Beans. 220, 175, Ultra, all 4 members up and in the hard point.
Just continue to fight. Find the opening kill. If you're Joe, an extra AR whipped out to win the gunfights on the OE. Now you're consistently shutting down these pushes on the side of both. On the side of Carolina. Only need 15 seconds. You can still win it out here. Just got to keep on trading.
Yeah, do or die time here for Carolina in map 4. He's on 3 in a row. Make it 4. Late Semtex for Slasher. Trades himself out, but Rex will drop. And it's going to have to be a convoy line. Just a mad dash. Trying to get back into the hard point. Stuns, nades for Toronto. Littering the front doors. One contest is in. It's just up to Gwyn. And he will eventually drop Toronto. Send us the distance to map 5.
Oh, and Joe Deceives is out the chair. He's letting Carolina know, you guys are awful. That guy was basically doing it all on that map number 4. Basically led the team in slaying, also led the team in the objective time. Joe is just so hard to keep track of. And just to talk a little bit more about Joe, his career has been insane. We're talking about a guy who 2 years ago walked into an LAG lineup. Really couldn't find any success. Then you go into the next season with an LAT squad who were just putting a roster together. They lost their super team, and they needed to make something out of nothing. And Joe consistently, year after year, just keeps on improving his individual gameplay. And without question, in my mind, he's one of the best players that we have in this game.
Oh, yeah, absolutely the case. It was just one of those things, and I think you're right. And, you know, again, like when we get to the end of the season and we start to recap over the year, depending on where this Toronto team finishes, you have to keep in mind that, like, they were put in a weird spot by losing key components of a roster that was looking like they were built to win championships and had win championships at that point, to be honest. So when you get into the mix and you have to throw, you know, Beans with Joe Deceives in the mix here, you have to fill in for Scrap and an Envoy, you just start to worry a little bit about what participation you're going to get. Because, yeah, there's been moments where both players have really taken over in their series, but there's also been moments where they have been very quiet. But you're absolutely right talking about Joe Deceives and his consistency throughout the year. You know, we talk about, like, MVP candidates. He's probably, like, 5th, 6th on the list right now. Like, in the mix with, like, Hydra just outside the picture of, like, the top 2. But that's impressive considering that, you know, he's the only one not on a top 2 team that has been at least mentioned in the conversation if Toronto were to step up and obviously have a strong end of the year.
Yeah, that guy's just been unreal. Alongside Kleenex, who's obviously been doing it for a very, very long time. Alongside previously Scrap, now alongside Joe. Doesn't matter what his lineup looks like. Kleenex is always going to be able to figure it out. But Joe Deceives, man, he just continues to shine when realistically he's not really supposed to. The guy makes something out of nothing every single time. So it's just good to see the young man continue to progress in his career. You're able to get to that map number 4. Now you're forcing a map number 5 with your tournament lives on the line. and I can't wait to get into that protocol because it's an absolute square.
It's going to be magic. I hope. I wish I had confetti. I would have done like a little confetti toss right there. But let's take a look back over at the bracket. Currently ongoing in the main broadcast, Minnesota playing up against Vegas. And again, talking about like, if there were to be some sort of a hero storyline for Minnesota, you come out of a reverse sweep off of Boston, and you're probably looking at the bracket like, okay, we got to beat this Boston team, then we're going to play Vancouver. Psych! You got Vegas instead, and they're off there to a 1-0 start. Not sure what the map 2 score is. That's 2-2 on a red card search. So if you're looking at like the epic storyline, if you're just a fan of drama and just disgusting little Cinderella stories, Minnesota's got a lifeline here.
Yeah.
To where they beat Vegas. I believe they would get the loser of Atlanta and Optic. So there's a real world here where Minnesota can get the square up that they would want to try to control their own destiny. Whereas the winner of this matchup, of course, goes and plays the Los Angeles Gorillas, mate. I don't think that's really a British accent. I can't do a French accent.
It's all good. So. You got it, bro. The fact that LAG were able to beat Cloud9 the way that they did in a clean 3-0 fashion definitely catches me off guard. That's 2 series that catch me off guard. We have the 2 worst teams in the league taking down 2 teams that we weren't really expecting to lose in their scenarios. Vancouver, without question, was not expecting them to lose a Game 5, but Cloud9, I don't know what the hell happened. Their champ stream is officially shut down. They are no longer in contention for that position, and now the only focus for them is EWC. But the only lifeline now is Rocker, man. The fact that Rocker, if they can get through Falcon, and then FaZe play Optic. Optic haven't been able to beat FaZe basically the entire season.
Nope.
And Kenny's got to square up against his old lineup.
Whoa.
Oh, I'm there. I'm there for the movie. I'm there.
But I think the thing is, like, they would have to obviously win the series they're in now, beat Optic, and then they would have to win the next series too. I think get the points that they would need, and that's where things get difficult because then you have to beat a top 3 team in the league, which Minnesota have not been very good at doing. So that's what we got to have afoot here. Is that the last matchup on main as well? It's happening right now.
Yeah.
Do they have?
Yes,
that's the last one they have tonight. Okay,
Yep.
so from there on out, you're just going to be dealing with, if you're in the venue, enjoy DreamHack. Like, as much as the esports side of it is a joy, go to the vendor booths and like play Dance Dance Revolution or do the things that are out there. I'm telling you, it's so much fun. Like the amount of games and stuff and the amount of community things they've got built out there. So have some fun out there for us because we are trapped within 4 walls of this asylum we call online COD with Protocol Search and Destroy trying to get us out of jail here.
Oh, man, I cannot wait until we get into this Protocol Search and Destroy, man. Obviously, the pressure is on both sides. If you're Ultra, a team who looked really good going into this tournament, you're expecting them to be able to close out on the map that they used to really like. But just this form of Carolina, the way that they played Search and Destroy on that map number 2 with the slow and steady approach, looking like some old school S&D. Big shout out to my guy Slasher because he's definitely the IGL in that situation. Going into a map like Protocol, if you can slow down some of these rounds, because it's usually chaos in towards the bottom side of A or instant pushes over towards that B site, the first floods are going to play a major factor in this Game 5.
And if you really want to go back, if you're like a super stats nerd and you love to get down and dirty in the spreadsheets, last time Toronto played against Carolina on this map, it was around 11, and it went the way of the Carolina Roller Ravens. So could be something to be told about that. That was a long time ago. That was back in Major 1. That was months ago. That was a different game ago. So don't hold that, up for an argument. But it did happen. Stats are stats.
Definitely happened, Alan. And realistically, who are the guys that you're looking at in this map number 5? I think for me, it's going to be TJ on one end and Jodeci's on the other. Because we always know if TJ is frying in Search and Destroy, you're simply going to stand no chance. And if Jodeci is able to dictate the way that he likes to play Search and Destroy by being the aggressor and finding that first blood, those are going to be the 2 difference makers in this map 5.
Yeah, I like that. I think the other side, though, I am kind of looking a little bit at Rex, who has not been great in the Search and Destroy. He's holding just like a 0.83 overall KD in Search, which is marginally better than what that Vivid was pulling. But I think there's a level of like, he was a rock star in Challengers and Search and Destroy. I mean, we're talking double-digit kills almost every single map he loaded into. So I love that call, just kind of looking at how that head-to-head would play, but putting some pressure on the new guy up. I want to see Rex have a good map 5 and really assert that this move was one that was worthwhile to secure a win versus Toronto.
Oh, yeah, this would be massive, man, for a team that has struggled tremendously ever since you entered the lineup. If you can get this kind of W, it could do wonders for not only your team morale, but your momentum going forward in the rest of the tournament. Is initially all ready to start, though, in this round number 1. The aggression through the bottom side of this A site. Toronto able to walk away with the numbers and have full site control. Now going to work the objective with Insight working the pinch.
Yeah, and I love this out of Insight. Should be good for a freebie, and is. So now it's just down to Slasher from outside the site looking in. And with no nades to play with, yeah, you don't love his odds. He's going to have to World Star Beans. First shoulder. Nope, not going to happen. Crossfire setup too strong.
Yeah, that's a big first blood on the side of Ultra. I know we didn't technically get a chance to see it, but they obviously had that bottom A site control with the numbers advantage. SG is able to strike early. Benjamin Means able to put the finishing touches on the round. Come out swinging. Secure the opening offense. And that's massive, too, because Carolina on the other side, whenever they play protocol, defenses are their go-to. They had a 24-9 overall record on that side of the map. But already, that stat doesn't matter. Ultra up 1-0.
I love when stats like that don't matter.
Yeah.
I do, but I don't. It's like, I do because it makes the game feel like it's anyone's game. I don't love that because I'm sure Easy Mac's like, what am I here for? He's there for everything. I'll tell you what, those spreadsheets are thick. No first blood yet, but TJ, quick route. Insight has not seen him, and that's another first blood here this time for Carolina. Slasher following up with another.
Oh, and they find that kill on to Kleenex. Trying to flank his way through Grandma's. So now in a 4v2, Joe and Beans. That's to try to clutch on up, but Stun is able to connect. Joe has to commit on the one-on-one. Is able to get the better of TJ and reads the pressure. How long can he finesse now?
Well, maybe a little bit longer. Tosses a little frag just to bounce over. Bean steps up for one. Not going to get the second, but the trade is in. And how about that from Toronto? Carolina's like, what do you mean? Like, we had everything going our way. We had a 4v2. We get trapped. The four of us all get trapped inside of lower PCs? Surely not.
Yeah, that should not happen. Realistically, it definitely should not happen. You found the opening kill. You also found the second and put yourself in the early man advantage. And the only thing you had to do after that was find a trade onto this young man in Joe Deceives. Set up before the map started. TJ and Joe are the two players that I want to keep an eye out for. TJ made a massive play to find an opening first kill on the pinch, but Joe on the opposite side makes up for it with two of his own. Ultra up 2-0 and not stopping the pressure now.
Nope. A little bit of a quick hit, though, for Carolina's defense this time. Through field down into A. They haven't seen anything. And the question when something like this happens is, how do you rotate out of that? And the answer is, apparently, you don't. They are completely stuck. Rex on an island. He has to provide. He tries to get to a power position, gets tagged on the way. But does keep his life, gets out of dodge. His teammates now out of that field position can come rotate to help.
And now you know that potentially the play's going to be over towards this B side, but Insight's is staying alive over towards Heli. Keep them at bay while the bomb has already hit the rotation back in towards bottom comm. So it's going to be a retake situation for Carolina, but they're trying to isolate onto Insight first.
This first contact means everything for Carolina. I mean, especially with Toronto kind of planted a little bit into very secure positions. Yeah, and then Insight gets the win outside, and there's just no way to come back in through Spiral. So, starting to fall apart a little bit at the seams here for the Ravens as Toronto pull off a 2v4 and then a very comfortable offense to follow up.
Yeah, it's just easy for Beans able to find that opening first blood onto Slasher through the top windows. Because they gained info once they dropped down through Zip that there's a lot of pressure on the bottom side of A. So we can potentially gain some more info and then use that to our best capability, then it works out in our favor. You find the first kill, you take space over at B, you force the rotation out of Carolina, and then you hit him with the roto on the way back on towards A and instantly get the bomb down. Post plan has been flawless. 3-0 for Ultra.
Quick action down towards A. AR set up for Ultra with Joe Deceives pulling out an extra one. That works out for first blood. Doesn't really stop Gwyn, though, who's still playing at Elevator, and he's getting to work clearing out the site. And honestly, if Carolina could just commit and get this bomb planted, this is not the worst 3v4 I've ever seen.
Absolutely not, because there's 3 entrances in towards the site, but TJ is going to get caught. I was thinking that everyone was on the bottom side of comms, but we're still showing some pressure through top mid. Now Slasher going to be isolated, and Gwen left in a 1v4.
Yeah. Well, that's how quick it happens. Although, first blood's a clean one. Full follow-up shots weren't terrible on the insight, but help was quickly there for the crossfire shots, and Ultra are 4-0 up. And you can just, like a vent opening up for steam, you can just feel the air just being absolutely exhausted in the Carolina lungs.
Yeah, this is tough, man, because Ultra so far, up 4-0, have found 3 out of the 4 first bloods in this game. And whenever they are finding that first blood, they are just allowing their numbers to play a big part of how they're going to execute their play after that. You get that early kill. You isolate onto the players through top mid. You were basically giving up the bomb plant for free. Then once you catch TJ roaming around mid gun, also alongside Slasher, just an easy round there for Ultra to retake their way back in towards the A site. And currently doing all wrong, up 4-0. And this is completely opposite of what we saw in that map number 2.
Yeah, this is a must-win round right here for Carolina. They get first blood from Slasher, who was essentially just playing a window position, so it doesn't really feel too much out in terms of what Toronto are attempting to do. But at the same rate, it also doesn't really show what this Carolina defense is to the remaining Ultra members. So there's a lot of figuring each other out that still has to happen as Kleenex will open up towards Heli, and that gets Beans in a position to possibly dive into the B site here. And, ooh, Rex is playing it off angle. The timing is going to be everything.
And he's going to go unaccounted for, so he should be able to pop up and catch the 3B off at the exit.
Oh, no.
At least push down shots to gain some information. The nade might be good enough to take care of the kill, and no, it does not, so Ultra, they don't got a chance here.
Brother.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, no, this can't happen. I'm sure Slasher's sitting here like, are we kidding? Because now you've got Kleenex on the helicopter. You can just throw shoulders and be annoying. You've got no idea where Beans is. The longer that this takes to develop through mid, Beans is going to start to feel like it might be a long flank play, and Slasher takes shots. They're going to lose this round. How do you get Kleenex out of this position? You have to try to chill him out, and wow, Glenn comes out of nowhere and does just that. I was about to say Kleenex looked like he was in a great spot, but he lost track of Gwen completely, and the round gets iced up for Carolina.
Oh, my God. I can't believe they almost let that one get away. Like, if you're Dylan Rex there, and you go back and watch that VOD session, potentially once this match is over with, your teammates are looking at you like, bro, you got to get one there. Thankfully,
actually, yeah.
Teammates are still able to clutch on up at the right time, find that kill onto Kleenex, and secure their very first round of the map. And that was off of the back of the first blood, so let's find a couple more of there if you're for Carolina.
Oh, yeah, please. Because it feels like you need them. Things have not been comfortable in any form for Carolina. Really uncomfortable for Rex, who's 0-5. He was my guy to watch here, Jay. Your guy to watch is 1-5. So between the two of us, our two guys to watch are 1-10.
Already into this round, though, Alan. Carolina got to read that there was a lot of pressure to top mid, so they're just going to instantly work this objective in towards A and not really have the setup that they currently want in towards the site. Slasher is in no man's land.
Yeah, you got TJ and Rex both playing contact positions on either extremity. They need to get kills here. TJ showing some force, stunning, nading, killing time. RC going to push him out. Kleenex does find the first kill, though. Rex follows up, finds his. And Slasher shuts down the play at field. Good second round here for Carolina.
Yeah, that's just a perfect usage of the information that was gained early on. You read that they were aggressive as hell through top mid and instantly make that audible adjustment to rotate your way back over toward A, instantly get the bomb planted, and then just hold strong on your post-plant setup. Another first blood there in favor of Carolina. Allows them now to potentially stop the bleeding, but now we go into the swing round.
Yep. Is there enough there to start to turn the tides on how this search has been played? Because, again, the key in the first 4 rounds is that Carolina had 2 different first bloods that led to 4v2s or 4v3s, obviously, and it just has not been secured. Wow, that stun may not have even hit the trophy system. Kind of had a weird bounce on it, and Ultra will just kind of back away. And that means they haven't given away much information, and Carolina will be still kind of eager to hunt things out with Rex playing a position deep beyond the field, and Gwyn just kind of holding the middle of the map with Slasher at a window.
Yeah, they switched it up. They said, Dylan, no, we're not going to put you at that.
Yeah, you're good, dog.
We'll put Gwyn on that side of the map because we know he's most likely going to get one. But Carolina, with their defensive strategy, is perfect because the only round that Ultra have really been able to find success on in their attacks is when they find early success in towards this A site. TJ doesn't give up on his setup, finds that opening kill, and now there's only 35 seconds and Ultra committing towards B.
Yeah, and Gwyn's just playing a cruddy position here, looking for contact. If there is some sort of a desperate play over towards B, he should be good for one at least. There's just no way you check this. And that's why. Oh! Saucy out of Gwyn. Gets the 6 slide over to the bomb site, uses that as a natural heady, and destroys 2 members. And now Carolina are right back into this map.
Oh, yeah, man. They have came out and changed their defensive looks or their strategies in general so far on this map. Using the information gain, playing spread on their setups the same way they did on dealership. And so far that has worked out at least 2 times on the defensive end. 3 rounds in a row now for the Ravens. Starting to show some late game heroics here to rally their way back into this game. Everyone is currently streaking. They are on an 11-team streak.
Yeah.
Now they're just going to continue that fight, but the gunfights to the bottom side. Joe DeCease and Kleenex whip out an AR for the engagement, and now Ultra have the man-up advantage.
That's legitimately one of those rounds where, like, Toronto's like, we've got nothing going for us. Let's just pull out an extra AR and just spam from bottom spiral over to elevator. Just hope we get a connection, and boy, did they ever. So now it's down to TJ and Slasher, 2v4. Again, TJ's going to get a read that no one's here. So as soon as you confirm that, you would love to see them get a plant out, but instead TJ's going to take a rewrap all the way around through ropes, and no, that won't work. So Slasher, no bomb, 1v4. Good luck. Have fun.
Yep. 35 seconds as well to work with. Does find the first onto Beans. Doesn't really have time on his side. So he's continuously just trying to find one-on-one gunfight after one-on-one gunfight. Is going to be able to gain info into a player top window, but Ultra secured the defensive round with the adjustments to not really match the aggression, but to be prepared for the aggression by whipping out an extra AR. They find the initial 2 kills to the bottom site, and now they put themselves at game point.
Yeah. All right. What do you call here for your Carolina? You've got a couple of RC cards, I believe, earned. So maybe you use something just to get some guaranteed ground to work with, and then you set up your play from there. Let's see. All 4 members going to try to go aggressive into A? It's the same sort of hit where you've got Rex watching over the top, the flood through field side, with one member kind of lurking in case things go awry. But Joe DeCease is the only one to really show any effort for Toronto down low. And now it's just down to the question of, can Toronto punish Carolina as they try to exit?
Right now, Ultra haven't really moved on their approach. Already 30 seconds wiped off the game clock, and now this is playing mind games with Carolina because it's been very, very quiet at this A site. The defensive setup now is going to start to hit their rotation out towards B. But 45 seconds to go. Ultra just waiting for the right time to strike together in towards bottom A.
And you can kind of see, like, Rex is feeling anxious because he's the only one responsible for B, but he also wants to make sure no one hits his teammates down into A through field. Slasher will rotate over to try to cover that from top window. But look at the space that Toronto have to work with here on the B side of the map. Slasher hasn't seen this. Rex finds one into Kleenex, but that doesn't give you the intention that Toronto are playing for a B hit. With the time ticking, though, Carolina starting to predict it, rotate the defense over. Rex trying to stop the plant from happening, and he finds a key kill. Insight with the trade, but now it's just down to Insight, and he is not going to have the time play for the plant. We're going to go to 10.
I love it, man. Again, Carolina just like, you're not going to take this A bomb site from us. That's the only way you have been able to beat us on your offensive approaches is when you got that objective down in towards A or had early control of that A site. So that's been their consistent. We take this away, we force you to go B. And usually that has worked out in our favor. Carolina able to force round number 10. And I'm not going to lie, Alan. I know the previous round, they went for the aggression through bottom A and got cut down by the ARs. I'm going right back to that same exact strategy.
Yeah?
Yeah, because I don't expect Joe and Kleenex to have, Joe and Kleenex to both have ARs again in that scenario.
Well, they're going to feel it out. It's Gwyn throwing shoulders. Toronto did make the same play again. It just comes down to how much did Gwyn actually see on that shoulder check, because it looked like TJ was feeling like he wanted to do like a Nero play where you just dive through gun, get up close and personal to 10, but that's not the case. And honestly, it's just Carolina just waiting just like Toronto did in the last round.
55 seconds left on the clock. Carolina rallying over towards tower side. Just playing the mind games, forcing Ultra to consistently be moving because they have no information to play off of. But now 40 seconds, we're going to work our way through top mid. You got to get the objective down eventually.
Yeah.
TJ.
Oh, this route. If he can find one kill, that would change the dynamic of this entire round. But he hasn't found anybody. So now he's going to try to reroute back on the backside of the defense. That opens up one. Stun to the backside of the site. Kleenex now in major trouble. Trying to fight back through the concussed effect, and he's able to find a win. Pistol out. Damage onto Gwyn. 14 seconds. Gwyn is going to try to stick for the plant. And Toronto's going to trust their nades. Good help from Rex. Beans to the 1v2 after finding Rex. Gwyn over the top finds the kill. And we're going 11. Both teams fighting for their lives.
Last time that they played this map, they went all the way to around 11, and it was Carolina able to edge them out. Now we are in the same situation. The slow and steady approach works so good for them, at least on that map number 2, and it works even better there in that round when TJ just slips on through. I love the fact that he doesn't commit for a gunfight on the backside of B. He knows if I can get to Spiral and open up with a kill in towards the A site, we have the numbers to bombard our way on in. But around 11, between Ultra and Ravens, let's do it.
Same setup for Carolina. Rex watching over the top. Both players of the SMGs diving in through field. RCXD to make the play over towards elevator. But Toronto are not being patient this time. They may have gotten a good feel for what Carolina's defense has tried to do. So now you're going to go for the early plant. Nade over the top from Rex, going to get there too late. Good shots towards Heli. Nade also landing, but it's going to stay 4v4. Keep your eye on the flank with Gwyn trying to play her out over towards backside tower.
He's just trying to time it. He's just trying to time it on this pinch, knowing that at least one player from Ultra are going to be playing in safety net, but time keeps on ticking. Kleenex finds the first.
What a win. What an escape. Gwyn reveals his position just to get the trade. Keep your eye on Rex. He's back over towards the bomb site. Can't quite get on for a defuse. You still got Beans holding. He's waiting for this play to happen from the front. Gwyn, Slasher, trying to get the kills. They find him. It's just going to be down to Insight for the 1v2. Oh, clean shots to Gwyn. Does he get a look at Slasher, who has to try to hold it? And he does. Toronto ice up and avoid embarrassment, and will continue at DreamHack Dallas in the elimination round 2.
Finally, Ultra gets some success on the attacking side, and it said the slow and steady approach hasn't worked for us a single round that we have tried it. So this time, we're just going to send it immediately through B, get the objective down, force them to play the 4v4 retake. And right there, Carolina just wastes so much time, man. They waste so much time. Gwyn is so patient on the pinch. Doesn't even clear out the pinch because Insight was the guy playing in towards Grandma's. He stalls out the game clock, puts himself in the clutch position, and you best believe Insight, who has been one of the most clutch players that we had in the CDL history in Search and Destroy, he's able to put the finishing touches here for Ultra to walk away with the Game 5 victory versus Carolina and move on in the tournament here at DreamHack. That's got to be so tough, though, if you're Carolina. Because you did everything right. You read the early play. You consistently were shutting down their A